Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Kamoshi. Here's our friend Srinidhi from Kochi. So, hello Srinidhi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Actually, she is from IIT Bombay. Can you please tell your branch?
I'm doing BTech in chemical engineering.
Can you share your experience of preparing for JEE?
So I had joined an institute called Fiji in my 8th standard uh, because I found one of my family friends doing it and I was also interested in science. Further after that, I kept on studying in Fiji just like that, something like an extra activity. In 11th and 12th, I took up JE seriously and I started studying for it in 11th. So, meanwhile, in 8th, ninth, if they are conducting extra classes for, say, exams like JSO or whatever popular exams are there, like PRMO. So, I used to attend classes for that. So, I did have interest on an academic side. In 10th, they help you prepare for NTSC. So that way, in 11th and 12th, I focused on JE and not do my JE journey in specific during my 8th to 10th years. Mostly I prepared in my 11th and 12th.
Can you tell me which all exams you had given in these 2 years?
Oh, so in 11th and 12th, I pretty much gave, I think, IOQM. Then I had tried out KVPY and JE.
JEE means and JEE advanced.
Yeah, I had given BITSAT. I had given BITSAT. I did not give VIT ka. Then there's something called the Kerala entrance. So it's called KEAM. So I had given KEAM.
Can you mention the scores of means and advanced?
So in my first JEE mains attempt, I had a percentile of 98.5. In my second attempt, I made it to 99.63. So my JEE mains rank was 4531, All India rank, and advanced I had an All India rank of 3852. My score was 164 positive score. And the net total positive score was 168. I had 4 negative markings out of 360 in advanced.
Why you chose IIT Bombay for chemical engineering or any other branch?
Okay, so my native is Tamil, but I'm born and brought up in Kerala. So I can speak Tamil and Malayalam fluently. So if I have to give you a little bit of context, after I've joined IIT Bombay, you have people from all over the nation, right? So since I know Tamil and Malayalam, I pick up other South Indian languages pretty quickly. So I have quite a bit learned Telugu in the first 2 semesters. So I can speak Telugu pretty decently. The reason I'm saying this is in Madras, 90% of the population, IIT Madras, 90% of the population is Tamil, Malayalam, and Telugu. I can survive Tamil food because my native is Tamil. Since my ancestral home is also in Tamil Nadu, just 20 minutes away from IIT Madras. If I catch a train from IIT Madras, I'll reach home. Like if I catch a train at night, I'll reach home early morning. My actual home in Cochin. Pretty much because of that, even I did not want to bound myself to my comfort zone. I wanted to go somewhere that I did not have exposure to. I pretty much think Bombay would have been the best place to give me the kind of exposure that I would need, the kind of culture, the pace of the city. So I have not lived in a metropolitan city so far on a daily basis. So the pace of the city, the kind of exposure, the language, you find people from different spectrum. And most importantly, I think for me was the cream layer among all IITs for me is IIT Bombay. So even though I might not be in CSC, you find people from all branches, right? So
Yeah.
academically, if you see a lot of people who are working much harder than you, you also start putting in effort. So you get to see different people. That's true in different IITs, but Bombay specifically, since I believe it is the cream layer, and I wanted to push myself, have a good amount of growth. I chose Bombay over everything else. So I was pretty much sure that I would take Bombay, irrespective of any branch that I get from my 10th grade. So I wanted to get into IIT Bombay because the kind of growth that I would get would be very different. In my JE journey, to more than what efforts I have done, uh, your friend circle matters a lot whenever you prepare for a competitive exam. So whenever you see if you have the right circle of friends, they really push you, and unknowingly or knowingly, you also start working pretty much similar to what they work. If you are no, if you contact on a daily basis, so it's some logic that I applied, and I wanted to pursue my engineering in Bombay.
Have you started learning Marathi?
I can say a few phrases, Jeevan Kelika, Tuza Nav Kaya Hai, but not a lot of phrases.
Mhm. You will get to know in 4 years.
Sure.
Any study techniques you found helpful during your preparation?
So I don't know if I would call it a technique. It is in the big. It is during the end of my 11th grade that I actually figured out what exactly I should be applying, such that I would get a result. Uh, in general, if I have to tell you, in this is my opinion. In 11th grade, most students, it takes a while for them to figure out what exactly works for them. You keep writing tests, keep studying, and it's after a point that because you need a decent amount of data for you to, reflect upon yourself and then figure out what kind of technique works for me or technique does not work for me. So in general, that's why I would say, from whatever I have noticed, like most people end up, their performance starts scaling up on a major in a major way after mid 11th or during the end of 11th grade. So for this, I would really suggest you have to do test analysis. It is not technique, but test analysis is what has actually propelled me a lot. In general, there is a particular phrase that most JE students who have cleared JE would say, I wasted my 11th grade. So this is a typical thumbnail also that you find in most places. The reason I'm saying is, one is, of course, they did not know how exactly to manage, because certain things can actually not be communicated. You actually have to work hard, because there are certain things that can actually be communicated, but a lot of it has to be found out. So people who actually say, I wasted my 11th grade, the best way for them to cover up anything that they have not covered is through test analysis. Because what happens is, ultimately, when you write tests, you do their analysis. Say there is a chapter of kinematics, and I don't know how to do kinematics questions pretty well. So what you have to do is, whenever you do a test and then you see a kinematics ka question, and then you do the analysis of scar, so then that question answer gets cleared. Then in that process, if you think that question is a bit of a higher order level, you practice 10 other questions, just so that your that part of the chapter gets cleared. This way, when you do test analysis for a good number of tests, after every test, all the loopholes in your portions get covered up. So that is the best strategy, if you, in case you don't have a lot of time to revisit each chapter and then cover up things. That is the best technique. So test analysis is a must. If you are going to say, I'll give you a very contrast example. If you're going to a school, you are filling the fees, and if you go to school and you don't study, then there's no point in paying the school fees, right? Similar to that, if you're going to give a test, if you don't do the analysis of it, you're not going to get the benefit of it. So test analysis is very, very crucial. And once test analysis is done, for example, in inorganic chemistry, you find a question in organic chemistry, you don't know the answer to it. When you do test analysis, you know the answer to it. But 85% of the time, it's something that you have to by heart. So you have to write that down, and then you have to revise that on a periodic basis. So first today I'll revise, then tomorrow I'll revise. Then after that, I have to revise it 2 days after. So it's 1, 2, 4. Then you revise it on 7th. Then after that, you revise it on a weekly basis. By that time, it would have registered in your mind. So this is something that my faculty used to advise me to do. So that is something you can do. Start creating mnemonics. I don't know. There is a particular way in which people memorize the periodic table. So they make up stories, or they take the first letter of everything, form a word from it. All these are things that are very helpful. So such things can also be done. Pretty much more than techniques. This is something that has to be kept in mind. If you do test analysis, that is really going to help you out. And techniques will actually, by the time if you do test analysis, you start like really putting in effort, people will figure out one way or the other, which is familiar to them or easy for them to remember things. So I did not use any major techniques. I would say I used to memorize quite a lot by making my own stories, my own mnemonics. Another technique that I used to do was, while studying the chapter, I used to study on a regular basis or whatsoever. So whenever there is an exam that is coming up, I used to make short notes for it. So I've got an exam day after tomorrow in my institute for that chapter. I used to make short notes on full scale papers or A4 papers. And then towards the very end, while J mains was approaching or advanced was approaching, it was very helpful because I literally had 150 sets of such papers. If you try imagining, making such amount of papers before J mains, just before J mains approaching, it's going to be very difficult. So if you have short notes, every time you're giving a, say, a full face test, you're taking, you're actually going to give a J mock test or something, which is going to have one chapter from each. So in such situations, short notes actually are very much helpful. So yeah, short notes, mnemonics, making stories out of a particular chapter. Most people prefer stories for inorganic chemistry and test analysis. Yeah.
Were there any particular subjects or topics you found challenging?
So I was confident in maths and chemistry. Physics was very challenging for me. Um, yeah, physics was very challenging for me. It was a Herculean task for me to face questions, solve, and then understand what exactly the question was. Even by saying physics, I'm not meaning just rotational motion. For people who are preparing for J, they'll understand what I'm trying to imply. I used to find, tension, force, Newton, all questions of Newton laws of motion, kinematics, all that difficult. So if you consider chapters like, thermodynamics, because chemistry is involved, I used to find it a little bit better. But otherwise, physics in general, I used to face quite a lot of difficulty. In 12th, that had, got rectified. When we started doing electrostatics, magnetism, by that time I used to perform relatively much more better than I was performing in 11th. I used to struggle with mechanics.
How did you manage your time effectively alongside your regular activities or studies?
In 11th, so it was all online for us. Offline classes started in November. So for say around 4 or 5 months, I used to attend classes. So we used to have quite a decent amount of hours of classes. So from say morning, once I get up, if I sit for classes till 5 p.m. in the evening, we used to have our classes, and I mean this includes lunch break also. So if I get up by around 7:38, if I sit for class around 9 till 5 p.m. also, I would have classes. Then after that, so we used to have classes, 3 hours, 3 hour classes were scheduled for us. So 3 hour or 2.5 hour till 5 p.m. 9 to 5. I used to have coaching classes, and in between we did have school classes. So school classes would have a weightage of say 2.5 hours, 2 hours. So we used to have that. So school classes were basically to aid our preparation. So when the school that I joined was an integrated school in 11th and 12th. So they are aware of the fact that we are preparing for JEE. So school hours are also pretty much limited. So subjects like English and computer science are given much more weightage than PCM. Uh, so mostly CSE and English classes used to be scheduled. After that, till 5 p.m., I used to have classes. So after 5 p.m., after I freshen up from 6 till say 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or so, I used to sit and practice questions, revise whatever was taught in class pehle. Uske baad, practice questions. This schedule became much more refined when I started doing it in 12th. So once November started, in November, offline classes had started for us. So I made it a point to go to school every day. Once I started going to school, maybe I don't know if that's a reason, but once I started going to school on an offline basis, on a regular basis, I started to see a lot of changes mentally because I was sitting at home for my 10th board preparation, NTSC preparation. I was locked up in my home for 1.5 years. My scores automatically went up. So this kind of preparation that I put in was the same. So from November, since I started meeting faculty, and I told them I'm not happy with the way I'm working. My working methods were not giving me the kind of results that I wanted. So what I started doing was every time I sit for studying, I started writing down the time. So it is not like 9 to 11. It's not like that. For example, I'm getting up at 7 till 7 to 7:33. I'm doing something. So I went to bath. I had food. 7:34 onwards, I started studying. So I'll note down 7:34. Effectively, whatever I've studied. So I'm studying till 8:45. I'll write 8:45. At the end of the day, I'll write what exactly I've studied. If I've done 67 questions, I'll write down I've done 67 questions. I'll calculate the number of hours. The first 3 days I did it, I was shocked with the kind of numbers that came out because I thought I was studying for much more hours, but it came out much less. I was studying for 8 hours or so initially, which was very shocking to me because technically speaking, you're spending 8 hours in school. So after that, towards the end of 12th, it became 13 hours. I mean, 12th on an average became 13 hours a day. So I used to keep sticking those notes on top of my study table on the wall that was facing my study table. Towards the end of my JEE preparation, my wall was entirely full. So introspection, the way I mentioned self-analysis, you have to introspect. Making a daily timetable never worked for me. So I was pretty much spontaneous. If I want to study this, I'll take that up. I'll study. So that was my approach to approaching subjects and then studying. So I never made a timetable as such, but after mid 11th and towards the end of 11th, I made it a point to make the best use of my time.
What role did your support system or like family, friends, teachers play in your journey to crack this exam?
Okay, so there are three different support systems. First is my family, my father, mother, and first circle of relatives. So I've been indulging in extracurriculars from childhood, and from the start of eighth grade or after the end of eighth grade, I was not in a situation to travel anywhere because I used to have things packed up in my summer school as well. So for the last 4 years till JE ended, my parents have never asked me to travel anywhere with them. It is a huge sacrifice that they have done for me. My mother's maternal uncle passed away, so she traveled all alone. I did not attend my first cousin, my father's sister's daughter's wedding. It was during my 11th grade J preparation. I did not attend her wedding. So these are just a very few examples that I can quote, but I can never tell you how much they have sacrificed because my school ends at 5 p.m. And I used to say ki, if I sit at school till 7 p.m., we were allowed to sit and practice till whenever we wanted. So I used to make it a point to sit and practice till 7 p.m. in school. So my father drops me in the morning. He'll come back at 7 p.m. at night to pick me up. So my mother literally has to pack 3 lunches in the morning for me to leave. Uh, Doing this for months and not even complaining once, I have been very lucky and fortunate to have them. They have never asked me to travel anywhere. In case they had to travel, they have made arrangements for me to stay in my friends' houses, who have been very supportive that way. My friends. So one of my friends is I mentioned right. So there is no. I actually joined Fiji because one of my family friends did engineering in an IIT. So I stayed at their place for a week or so. So there have been multiple people who have been supportive, and I cannot thank my family enough for what I'm living today. So my family have been very supportive. My peers and my faculty in my institute. So I in my JE first JE means attempt I had a score of 98.5. My first attempt I wanted a 99 plus. That was my cutoff that I had kept for myself, and I failed to qualify that. My world came shattering, literally, and it was very difficult for me. But there was still, none of my peers ever, looked down upon me that time. Everyone was very supportive. Uh, you know, um, they never bothered about that number at all. So the next day after the result came out, I cried that day. The very next day, I started preparing again, and so I did not make any huge changes in the preparation. It was exactly the same. In the month of one and in a period of 1.5 months, again I saw results. So yeah, so my peers have been very supportive. Company is very important according to me. There have been times when I've asked my peers 5 hours. I've spent 5 hours just by asking doubts in just one single day. So I used to accumulate all the doubts that I have after practicing questions. Then I used to ask them. So if you have the right circle, they'll definitely propel you to work harder. So in class, every morning we enter class, a typical thing between me and one of my friends was, how many questions did you solve yesterday? So if she says a particular number, say 67, I'll be like, no, I did 78. So next day morning, her target would be to cross 75, and I would start aiming higher. So in a very healthy competition. So I was very fortunate to have a very healthy competition amongst my peers, and everyone was very supportive. No one used to look down upon anyone for that matter. We never used to look down upon each other if we had doubts. So I think that way I've been very fortunate. My faculty friends and my parents who have been very understanding throughout. Yeah, so I'm very grateful to them for whatever I'm living today.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently?
So I would say no. Um, I remember at every point in life. I remember thinking, had I done something earlier, it would have been better. Karke. But I think in the retrospect, whatever happened for me, it has been for the best. So I think in certain things, life chooses certain things to be a particular way. I was very upset with the fact that I had a 98.5 in my first JEE mains. Uh, at that point of time, I thought maybe I should have taken 11th standard much seriously. But if you 1.5 months fast forward, if you see, then I understood maybe there was potential. Maybe it did not happen due to some reason. In my paper, the cutoff was for 99. I don't remember the numbers exactly. It was very drastically. It was different from all the other shifts in the second JEE mains. So if you are matlab, if you have worked hard and if you deserve it, I think you will get it. So that way, I don't think there's something that I would have done differently. Maybe prepared much better in 11th grade. Apart from that, no change in events or anything like that.
Right. Uh, how did you handle stress and pressure?
Okay. So if you manage your time well, there is no need for you to be stressful. But it is very difficult for 98% of the crowd to finish all the syllabus that you have or finish all the books that you're preparing for a particular exam. Initially, for people who are doing they're pursuing their 11th grade right now, the first thing I would say is pursue matlab, be sure of which book you want to practice, or be confident about that, or be sure about that. Ask someone else who's already done in JE, or your teachers in your institute. Because what happens is most of the time what students think is, even though they might have three four other books for just for reference, they believe I'm supposed to practice questions from that also. So at the end of the day, just for one chapter test, you will have 7 8 books, and then you don't know which one to practice from. So what ends up is everyone ends up doing 10% of each book. Now that is not going to help. The reason being, every book that you take, or if it's a well-known book, only then will you get to know about it. So 95% of the time, any book is a good book that is being at least suggested by someone who has done JE or someone who's teaching JE. The problem comes when everyone wants to do the best of books, and this is very opinionated. So any book that you take, make sure you finish the entire book, because that book has got a bit of theory. It has got a decent number of level 1, level 2, higher order level questions also, and then it might have previous year questions or HOTS kind of questions. If you're going to do 10% of each and every book, you're not going to get the entire flavor of that chapter. You're losing out on that, because the chapter test that you're going to give is going to have questions from all these flavors, not just 10% of the book that you have done. So that is a major reason for handling stress. I think I used to sleep. I used to sleep. That was the main thing that I used to do, or listen to music. For me, listening to music helped me quite a lot while studying. I used to listen to music, so that helped me, concentrate on my studies. This does not work for a lot of people, or I've seen a decent number of people who this works for also. I used to listen to instrumental music, as they call it. So yeah, that is something that I used to do. And if you are stressed or if you're under pressure, more than trying to do anything else, talk to your parents or talk to your teachers. Make a very close bonding with your teachers. So if if you are actually like very close enough and you are sincere, your teachers won't mind you calling up at 11 o'clock in the night saying, I'm stressed, I'm unable to sleep. So everyone has this kind of scenario once in a while. During your entire preparation, at least once this would have happened. So if you talk to your faculty, they'll actually tell you ki what exactly is the issue. You don't know how, but they can, because they are seeing you on a daily basis on for hours over months. So they know what exactly you're working on, what might be happening you. Just talking to someone who's senior to you or who is with you, they can definitely tell you ki, you are capable, so you need not worry and things like that. So talk to people, get things off your chest is what I would suggest. Sleep. Stress can also be because you're trying to solve a particular question and you're not able to get whatever you want within a given amount of time. So if I'm able to solve a question within 45 minutes, that does not justify how exactly I would solve it in my advanced or in my mains exam. So that way, try taking a break, try sleeping. Some of my friends used to do meditation, or they used to go for a walk and things like that. So yeah, playing a sport, that really helps. So you can actually.
How does the actual college experience differ from your expectations before joining?
Okay, so at first I thought everyone would be very disciplined and very studious. And pretty much a kind of toxic environment is what I imagine, but no. Though everyone is studious, everyone knows to know how to handle their academics and things like that. Everyone's very fun. Um I think I also had the general perception of the layman crowd that is there in the nation. But no, it's very fun. Most of your schedule starts switching. Like if you don't have classes in the morning, your schedule then becomes you start wake up at 11 o'clock and then you sleep at 4 a.m. So your schedule switches quite a lot. You are not in touch with the actual world that way. There are a lot of places to hang out in Bombay. So if people are feeling low, if they want to go out somewhere, they'll head to Marine Drive or Kolaba. So yeah, it's very fun. And it really depends on the kind of in my expectations, where I want good set of peers with me, or like-minded people who would like help me grow, or have the same kind of wavelength as me. So yeah, I do. I did find that kind of people who are much more extroverted, uh, who are very academically inclined, or want to pursue something like research, high level order things, according to me. Or there are people in IT Bombay that will find had good ranks that they could choose electrical, but they chose engineering physics because they want to do engineering physics. So you'll find people who are very passionate about what they want to study, who are very clear about life. People from all walks of life. You'll find people from all different states. So yeah, IIT Bombay has exceeded my expectations, and I'm very happy.
Have you encountered any challenges or obstacles in adjusting to college life?
At first, it was difficult to manage my academics in my first semester. Though I was very mechanical with the approach that I took up. I did not indulge in any major extracurricular activity, and I was very much stressed during my first semester regarding my academics. It was something like my first half of my 11th grade, CAR 2.0, that happened with me in my first semester. So I was very mechanical, and I did not get quite a lot of result that I expected in my first semester. My second semester was the opposite. So I let myself loose. I said, whatever flow mein aata, we'll do that. And my GPA that way went up much higher than what I anticipated it to be when compared to my first semester. So, and I did quite a lot of extracurricular things in my first semester than my first semester in my second semester. I did not do any in my first semester. I did quite a bunch of 4 or 5 things in my second semester. So academically, initially it was difficult for me to adjust and find the rhythm as to what exactly I should study. I mean, there are people there to guide you, help you out. There are seniors who will tell you what exactly you want to do, or if you have any help, you can contact them, XYZ, vagera. On a personal note, it was difficult for me to adjust to academia wise. It was difficult. So yeah, that was a major challenge. Apart from that, everything else was fine.
Are there any clubs or societies, extracurricular activities that you are involved in college?
In college, I take, so everyone's supposed to pursue a compulsory activity in a course called NOCIs, which involves NSO, NCC, and NSS. So I take a lot of interest in NSS. So in the extra activities that NSS organize, I'm a volunteer there. In the extra activities that NSS organizes, I go for that. Then there are events that every club conducts. So if you're interested, you can go and watch or participate. So the Carnatic Music Club and Folk Arts Culturals Club is called Roots in IIT Bombay. So I go whenever there is a jamming session or something like that. So there are other clubs also. There are more than 85 or 125 clubs. I'm not very correct with the. I'm not very sure with the number, but there are a good amount of clubs. So every time a club organizes something, if you're in your first year, if you're if you have interest, you want to show up, you can go and show up. So Kritika is the Astro Wala club. So that they organize events or at night with they to watch stars, planets, and all that. So there are events for that. So some event or the other keeps happening in IIT Bombay all the time. So yeah. Yeah, pretty much that. So there's Mood Eye Tech Fest and all that that happens in December. um, so a lot of things. I pretty much take interest in Carnatic music since I sing. I do vocals, and I do have interest in NSS and volunteering activities. So these are the two things that I majorly take part in clubs.
How do you network and build connection between your peers and professors in college?
So in IIT, how the system works is ki, at the end of every by the end of every lecture, you have doubts or you want to talk to the professor, you can talk. So there's a typically a 5 minute wala gap, because after every 5 minutes, we also, if there's a lecture schedule, we'll also have a lecture, or the prof will be busy. So just after the lecture is done, you can go talk to the prof. And if you want to collaborate something beyond that or ask something beyond that, professors always give their mail ID or sometimes their office timings too, or their phone number. So you can dial them up, or call them, mail them, or meet them during their office hours if they do give. So that is something. Academia wise or course wise, if you have to see, so we do have class representatives. There are typically two class representatives for every batch, not every batch, every department. So the class representatives are in touch with the professor as to what exactly is the grading system, vagera. Would a particular topic come from that syllabus for the exam, on that kind of basis. Apart from that, this is the peer-to-peer interaction, because every lecture that we have scheduled is in your first year is typically a 180 batch or a 360 batch that and a single professor is teaching. So the professor will not know the name of each and every student or anything. They'll come, they'll take the lecture, and then if we have doubts, we also raise them in between the lecture. It's interactive that way. Then after that, if we have to ask anything, it's all open. So then it's up to us as to if we want to collaborate, ask something to the professor, and things like that.
Uh, any ongoing projects or initiatives you're working?
An ongoing project. So I am currently interning in an office in Bombay. So I'm doing that. Then I'm doing a research project under a professor on NMR spectroscopy. So these are two projects or initiatives that I'm working on currently.
What are your future career aspirations and how do you plan to work towards them during college time?
So, uh, so far, we did not have, since first year courses, most of it is pretty similar to all, irrespective of your department. We have only had one core course with respect to chemical engineering. So, from my third semester, we'll have my all my core courses starting. So, with the very minimal amount of knowledge that I have, I find myself interested in chemical engineering. So I don't know if I would pursue research or aage in that field. So apart from that, my interest lie in consultancy, management, networking, talking to people, operations and events, basically managing things and planning execution, pretty much in the management sector. So I'm pretty much thinking I'll pursue management, but I'm still not sure. I'll have to decide that after my second year. In case I'm interested in my core, then I'll have to decide between them.
So here's our rapid fire segment. Uh, Favorite subject to study in high school?
Max,
Early riser or night owl?
night all.
Coffee or tea?
I don't drink either, but given an option, tea.
Okay. Android or iPhone?
Android.
Favorite book or movie?
Oh, movie Prestige.
Favorite spot on campus?
Oh, reading room.
Go to study snack?
I think any sort of chips.
Favorite extracurricular activity?
I think singing or playing badminton.
Dream travel destination?
Oh, I think Kedarnath.
Favorite social media platform?
WhatsApp.
Favorite campus hangout spot?
Uh, I think my hostel.
Favorite college tradition?
What are you? I'm not understand. Sorry.
Uh, like in boys' hostel, we get the GPL and
Oh,
anything like that.
I think I think maybe the conversation. No, I think any birthday party that's organized in the girls' hostel is very cute and very
Yeah.
nice. So I
No,
think
like
given a choice.
like on the campus, anything like
Okay, there's gala dinner, maybe that.
favorite app on your phone,
Oh, my gallery.
top study tip,
Study. That's it.
favorite quote,
If you have to get better than the major crowd, then you have to do things that they don't do.
favorite way to relax after exam,
Oh, sleep.
favorite college memory so far,
I got selected for a competition, a case study competition that got shortlisted for IIT Kharagpur's finalist event. So the result I got to know there in my hostel campus. So I think that's one of my favorite moments in NC.
one word to describe your college experience.
A roller coaster.
Here we end our rapid fire segment. What are some misconceptions people might have about preparing for JEE and would you address them?
You are supposed to do multiple books as in do all the books that you find for preparing for a particular topic. So this is not told by someone or anything, but this is what I find a lot of people doing, like including myself. So pick and choose books, maximum of 2 books for a particular topic initially, at least when you start off with. Finish those books, then after that we'll see what we can do, because finishing those 2 books within the given amount of time, because by the time we finish them the next chapter comes up, so it's not possible entirely in most cases, but that is something that comes to my mind first. Then the number of hours never indicates the amount of effort that you put in. Everyone has got a different caliber. I might grasp something in 3 hours, but another person might do it in half the amount of time that I did. Within 1.5 hours, he or she could have finished it. So a particular topic might be easier for you and difficult for someone else, and vice versa is also possible. So that way, if you see at the end of the day, whenever you're giving your JEE mains or advanced, every question has the same weightage. It has got, if you score well, you will get 4 marks for that question. So it does not matter if you are going to solve a question from, say, rotational motion and kinematics. So that way, most people say kinematics is easier. But all I'm trying to say is, if you're more confident with rotational motion questions, that is not going to take away those 4 marks from you. So number of hours don't indicate the amount of effort that you put in, and that has got no correlation with your chapter also. So study whatever is required for each and every chapter, and don't go by hours, because this is a tougher chapter, I would have to put in more hours. Typically, yes, but it need not be that case. And don't go by the hours also. Study as much as you can for any chapter or anything. A healthy study routine, and like even if you're studying for like 12 hours or something, it should have breaks and everything. So follow that.
What you would like to advise yourself at the age of 13 or 14 now?
Okay. Uh, I think follow what you think is right. Don't go by what others say. Uh, do whatever you think is right. I think that is what I would say.
What kind of person you are, who like or love to earn more money or to follow your purpose or passion, if even if doesn't earn enough money.
I think I'm more a purpose passion wala person. I can't thrive in an environment where I don't like what I'm doing. So that's an issue.
What's your purpose in life?
Uh, I think in a very career aspect, I would say I would want to put all my skills to use in anything that I'm doing. So in a career aspect that way, but uh, my purpose in life, I think, is to um, I think I should be helpful to people and serve people because at the end of the day, irrespective of the amount or any words that people give, if I'm not being helpful or if I don't serve people, I don't think I'll have my peace of mind. So humanity is very important on a very personal note.
Uh, at your funeral, how people should remember you as a person?
Oh, uh, I think approachable anytime. And I don't know if I'm worthy enough of for people to come and approach, but if if they do think they can, if I can be helpful at any time, feel free to message. Kind of person and helpful at any point of time as long as the help that they require is genuine.
How do you stay grounded or maintain perspective in a world that often emphasizes achievement and success?
There are two things to this. One is uh, your family that grounds you, but they don't treat you any differently. My family and friends, they don't treat you any differently just because you have cleared JE or a very close circle is what I'm talking about. So I think that keeps you grounded. They still behave the same way that they used to behave earlier. So that is one thing. And second thing is this is my way of looking at it. The more you study, the more you understand that you know very less in this world. So that itself will keep you grounded and humble, because you'll only get carried away if you think you know everything, or you think you are the best in that field. So that way learning has to always be on, even at the age of 80 or 5. So yeah.
If someone offers you 1 crore to leave IIT in the most important phase, like the mains before the mains, 10 days before the mains, would you accept it?
uh, No, because even if they had given me 1 crore, I would not have been able to build a career. I don't have a very business oriented mind. So, no.
Uh, have you ever watched Kota Factory?
I have watched scenes of it.
Scenes, okay. Uh, so, in which character would you like to denote yourself?
I like the character of Meena that I've noticed. So, yeah.
Okay. Ever thought of taking drop out of college to start something crazy?
No, not as of now.
Or would you think, or
Uh,
you should side hustle this?
Not to drop out of college as of now, because all my interests and everything align with my purpose, and it's actually helping me move forward. So for a startup, no, as of now, at least people have told me ki, the startup will do something. At least my purpose or the things that I have in mind have not aligned with that. So if I find an idea or something like that, may be possible, but not as of now, no.
What advice you would like to give aspirants who are currently preparing for the exams?
It is never too late to start. It is very, very true. Like, I don't know when exactly you're watching this, but it is never too late to start. If you can start today and if you're sincere with your efforts, you can still crack it.
So, thank you, Srinidhi. It was a great time with you. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great talking to you as well. Thank you.
So like, share, subscribe.